everybody, to the Coach's Corner podcast, presented to you by Team Rabadi. I am your host you tell all your mothers about, Nabil Rabadi. And with me today...
It's already off to a bad start.
Oh, it's a hot start. With me today is Coach Kevin. Coach, how are you doing in 3 words or less?
Much better now.
Done. Great. Perfect. Coach Robbie. Coach Robbie to my left.
Good.
Hold on now.
Oh, my bad.
All right.
Go on,
Just
go
the
on.
master of this gym over here. The eminent to Team Rabadi's domain. How are you doing in less than 1 word? Cool. I would have also accepted a high-pitched grunt, a thumbs up, and a smile. Like this.
Wow.
Today we have a
wow.
we have a super special episode today. Clearly we're having a lot of fun. We're gonna have more fun as this episode goes on. Today we're doing an Ask Coach Anything. Something we've been working on for about 2 weeks, but this whole week we've been posting and you guys have been submitting your questions. But before we get to that, I want to thank some of our sponsors. Roll Bliss, Body Tracks, Restore Cryotherapy, and Round Rock. Let's just jump right into it. You guys ready?
I am.
So
You can speak now, by the way. I apologize. Cool. He's good. All right, we're going to jump off to a hot.
What we got.
We're going to jump off to a hot start.
That's the energy I got
They
for you
have
today.
not seen any of these questions, even though they kept posting them. First question. Favorite martial arts movie? Why is it Best of the Best?
Best of the Best is a good one.
It's actually a pretty good
man,
one.
you used to-
It's a solid 80s one.
Oh, yeah. I used to mark out big time to it.
Hashtag Tommy No.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I'll go classic. Bruce Lee, Enter the Dragon. That one's a life changer for me personally. But another amazing one is Tony Jaa's movies. Ong Bak and The Protector are so good, so amazing. It's like... obviously, like with each era, there's been kind of a Bruce Lee, a Jackie Chan, a Jet Li, and Tony Jaa's just was
pretty on point.
Next level.
Yeah. The Raid movies.
The Raid is great.
So good.
I put as one of mine is Ip Man. I liked Ip Man quite a bit.
Yeah, that's a
Ip
good
Man
one.
was really fun.
Such a good one.
Kevin, you got one? Or
yes.
6?
So really, it's like you guys went the serious route, which is almost obvious that we all love those. But like we were talking earlier, I got to go out of left field and say American Ninja.
Oh,
and it's the fight scene where the guy takes the mop bucket, gives the dude the mop, the stick, puts the bucket over his head, and he's all... And of course, you know the rest. It's unbeatable.
Some classic
So
Florida
good.
Ninja stuff.
So good. Quick shout out to Chuck Norris. Let's not the Chuckster,
Charles
Chuck
Norris.
Wagon.
Yes,
No,
It's Charles.
It's too real. It's too real.
Chuck Norris's first name is actually Carlos.
Yeah, you didn't know that?
I didn't know
Yes.
that, actually.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
Doesn't smite me.
We have a part-time martial artist on our hands.
I know.
I think if I had to
Tisk,
choose...
tisk.
Dude, Fist of Legend was always good. I feel like that was like a kind of a copy of one of Bruce Lee's movies.
It is.
Chinese Connection, right?
I think so.
Or The Big Boss, one of the two.
Yeah, right there. They like inverted the name for
Exactly.
American release for
Enter the Dragon.
So
but
many.
Is
There's
Big
so
Trouble in
many.
Little China considered a martial art? Because that would be probably tops for me.
Oh yeah, I think so.
I think-
there's
okay.
a lot of martial arts. Yeah, you get the 3 storms in there.
Yes.
That's so
Basically the Mortal Kombat.
yes.
And then if we're just talking fight scenes, I just want to throw out there that nobody ever talks about. Who Am I with Jackie Chan? There's a fight scene where he fights on top of a roof with one guy who just boxes and another guy who just kicks. It's like really well done and it's super fun. So I would recommend it
Oh,
if
if
you've
we're
never
going
seen
fight scenes, I got another left field.
it. Okay, go
Ready?
for it. American Ninja 4.
Yeah, imagine. No. Arsenio Hall, Eddie Murphy, and Coming to America versus Samuel Jackson.
Oh yeah.
Takes him out with another mop. Go figure. That's coincidental with the whole mop bucket theme here.
What's your mop fixation?
It's my weapon of choice.
My weapon of choice.
He's just a
Mopping.
common man.
Yeah.
We got a natural dusty roads here.
Freeze.
Any more you wanted to add to that?
No, those are all great. Like, yeah, there's very few. It's one of the the genre
It's
that
such a
can't.
huge genre.
I know,
Yeah,
and
it's
you
huge.
can't
You just gotta
miss.
pick
I'm
one
sure
and
we have missed-
Stand by it. You gotta stand by it.
You could literally argue like The Matrix is a martial arts movie.
It was categorized as a martial arts, but when I was looking this up yesterday.
Blade.
Blade.
1, 2, 3.
Yeah, definitely 3. Definitely 3.
Yeah, that triangle armbar was on point. Ryan Reynolds ain't nothing to mess with.
Oh gosh, the John Wick movies have
Yeah.
the best modern martial arts in it.
It's so
like,
good.
It's so good.
It's so good. Next question. Change it up. That's what we do on this podcast. We just shift gears. How long before and what should you eat before a workout to get the most out of your workout?
Coach, you want
Coach.
All right.
Yeah.
So I like to do many of my workouts fasted, especially the morning ones.
Mm-hmm.
That one's pretty easy. Water and coffee pretty much would be it at that point. But evening time, I try to get stuff that's more easily digestible, but it kind of has substance to it. So talking about when I did eat a little bit more carbs, stuff like oatmeal with peanut butter in it, kind of mixed in, or even peanut butter banana kind of thing,
Right.
or simple stuff like that. Obviously, the carbing up, you want to do that like an evening before or something if it was a big workout or cardio based or something like that. But for the most part, you should be kind of routinely eating
Sure.
through the day and base the couple 3-hour window between or before you actually work out with it. And you're always going to be okay if you don't have like Chef Boyardee raviolis out of a can kind of thing.
I don't know.
When you're
that
eating
carb is my energy, bro.
I don't know.
He's a chef.
And it also depends on your circumstances.
Circumstances.
We're talking in an ideal world
That's
here.
right, that's right.
And personally, it's very, very individual specific.
Yeah.
But I won't get too deep. Through my trials and errors, it all depends on the workout is how I would simplify it.
Okay.
And how that workout affects you. I do a lot of fasted exercises, a lot of fasted workouts, like my runs in the morning and all of that are fasted, but I do need to fuel my jiu-jitsu. And I think that's twofold because my lunch is pretty big and it falls under the keto umbrella if it's a must, lots of avocado, beef and greens and stuff like that. Not very many carbs. I'll get my carbs from like the snack before I go because it kind of keeps the fire that I built stoked and my jiu-jitsu is fueled. And then, of course, the recovery is always a shake. So.
Yeah.
I would say a packet of Mike and Ike's for me.
Just one?
Just one. That's all I need. Usually, I just try to watch how I...
They've got 3 or 4 flavors in there.
Right. So if I ever need to change it up, I go to another flavor.
So the flavor of the exactly. So the flavor of orange is sugar.
Are you more of a Mike guy or an Ike guy?
I've always been an alternative person, so I kind of have to say
Wow.
too.
Would you?
Yeah. I just-
Hot take. Oh man.
Next question. How do I stay motivated all year?
Oh man,
This is I'm a fan of this question.
Right,
Yeah.
right.
Go
This
ahead,
is-
Coach. I think we're gonna say a lot of the same stuff. On
Sure.
this one.
Yeah, and I'll keep mine brief then, but I'll just say obviously motivation is fickle and it's going to come and go all the time, and we're all going to feel inspired watching a super fight, watching a teammate compete, or just like whatever's going on in our life, being the new year, all that good stuff. But really what needs to be built is discipline and routine and structure around it, something that holds you accountable all year. And that's really that's the key of it. If you think about the person that inspires you the most and motivates you, and you look to them for that inspiration, and you'll find a very hardcore disciplined person with like a routine that's strongly set in what needs to be done.
Yes, sir. And to say the same thing in different words is that the fire is the discipline, and I won't say motivation is fickle. I'll say motivation and inspiration is fuel for that disciplinary fire, because without that, the rest is nonsense.
Sure.
To be honest, it's really irrelevant.
It really
is.
It really is. I think so, people who battle whatever issue, that's what they're leaning on. They're waiting for that moment, for that thing, that's something to come in their life. And yes, you wait for something to come into your life, but then it's what you do with it. It's all right. You got this great new vehicle to transform you to the next part of your life. Well, are you maximizing it? Are you putting fuel in it? Are you paying back to it? Are you representing it in the way that it should be? Are you using it the right way? Or are you just kind of using it as another place to create excuses?
Yes, sir.
Not to get too coachy.
Yeah.
Such a coach.
Well,
Favorite book of 2019?
ooh, 2019.
Oh, 2019, wow.
Well, and 2018, now that we missed it, by the way.
And
I'm kidding.
since we're talking about books, kudos to Coach over there knocking out of the park, 40 plus books?
47.
I got that same review.
Yeah.
This was my
50,
first
but
or
go on.
second
Yeah.
solid review. I got 39.
Nice.
That's not including the hard copy, so I was
Nice.
just like, man, we're cruising right along.
Dude, it's
That's
awesome.
for sure. But go ahead, Coach. I would.
No, you go ahead. 'Cause I'm thinking that we're talking about 47 books.
Yeah, that's
They were
like,
all short stories. Let's just be honest about it. There were some 3 pages in there.
I would probably
Hard
Sound of
pages.
Thunder. Let's go.
I wish I remembered them all, but I would say if you take a look at my Instagram, the ones that I have posted in probably the last 6 months, I think one of them's on jiu-jitsu.
Yeah,
That was an
yeah.
amazing book. To really another reminder that we're kind of on the right path, because
Yeah.
that guy was really speaking our language. And
Chris Matakis.
yeah, and I believe he was an author first.
Yeah.
That started jiu-jitsu. So boy was he,
Articulate.
having the skills to put it into words is incredible.
Yeah,
And I even
articulate's
left it with a quote of like, I had to become a black belt in jiu-jitsu to realize I was a white belt in everything else, and that was incredible to me. I can't remember another book that I put in there, and then the last one was the 10X rule. And the way I've been telling everybody about it, it's been a 7.5 long hour pep talk. I think he's an East Coast guy. He has the energy in his voice. He even throws in a handful of yeah babies in there, and that's just him. But his perspective on things and his story is very inspiring and motivating. So fuel to that fire.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Did you think of one?
I did. So, like, there's a bunch. The list is really big. I actually got into some, not just like, some good mental growth ones, some good spiritual growth ones. I kind of mentioned in our last podcast. Got into some true crime ones. It's like blown away by some of this stuff. It's just that whatever thing as human beings that we're like
Is it called CSI
fascinated.
Book?
What's that?
It's called CSI the Book?
Yeah. Except it's a constant focus on everyone and their cool glasses.
Lens flares.
Yes,
Somehow in the book.
Just whip the glasses off. But I think the most influential has to be Gary Vaynerchuk and his 5 books. I mean, literally, we're sitting here as inspiration from that doing more and giving more and being more understanding of kind of this these great new platforms that we have and taking full advantage of it, and how you can share so much more with the people that matter. But yeah, I finished all 5 of Gary V's books this year, and super influential kind of stuff. So those have to be it for me.
I'd say not an influential book. It's just a fun book to read. It's called Final Girls. It's a murder mystery.
Oh yeah, you told me about it.
It's
Yeah.
pretty intense. So if you want something different, so best diet to be on when you're working out, and best diet to be on when you're not working out. Somehow I feel like they should kind of probably be one and the same, but
Yeah. I think a well balanced one is really it.
Sure.
But what I do is keto modified with a heavy duty amount of vegetables. Frankly, that's what I fill it in there with a bunch. Keto would have you do little to none and really get all of it from fat, but there's still the other side of things of fiber and the anti-inflammatory principles of veggies and stuff. Like, I can feel it in my old and beaten body when I don't have enough.
he's only 26.
That's it. That's it.
It's a rough road. The whole diet thing, it needs to turn into a lifestyle, and I'll actually steal from Dolce, because I really like his perspective on all this stuff, because it seems diets are turning into fads, and they both become they all become so tribal, and it's like, dude, stop, because it's so, again, individual based. And so he has the best advice for the masses, and it's just eat real food. Simple, because...
But what about that Netflix documentary I saw?
Yeah.
And then I saw the other one on
What
Amazon
about
Prime.
all 12 of them.
Oh,
And
gotcha.
they're all, so they all have their bias, and that's all good and well. but you gotta pick the one that's best for you. Yeah. And there's gonna be a completely different compared to someone as the people in our room that train anywhere from 4 to 7 days a week to people that train twice a week or don't train at all. So if you're not training at all and you're not on the active side, you need to be eating real food in less amounts to keep it healthy. But if you're going to build and you should be exercising and all that, you just need to up the right amounts to.
How many people would you recommend Dwayne Johnson's diet to? 17 pancakes, 5,000 calories of sausage alone.
Everyone above, 6 foot tall, 250 pounds.
Man, he is.
But the output, people overlook the output.
Yeah, he is. I think he wakes up like at 4 in the morning and just
4:30
starts
every morning.
You see his So those are his cheat meals that you're talking about, which he absolutely goes so hard on.
Yeah,
I could.
Good for him, really.
I'm more concerned and curious about the day after. Not even to go down the disgusting route, but how does he really feel?
Yes,
because that's a fine-tuned machine. I mean,
my gosh.
Let's take the holidays. We talked about it many days. Before the holidays, that was my biggest kick. Is hey guys, train through the holidays. Don't let your mind and body get soft.
Yeah,
because it's so much harder to get back started.
Right.
And if you find the finer the machine is ran, the more impact of negativity has, right? Sure. Negative fuel.
Man.
Every training camp, we tighten every screw, and then what do we do afterwards? We eat the pizza, and we have our beer of choice and whatever.
You go in the complete opposite direction, 100 miles.
Yeah, and I'm telling you, the third day in a row after your fight, you've already diminished the 8 weeks of hard work that you put in.
It's crazy how that just all goes away so quickly.
It's unreal.
After you built it up over so much time.
And that's been a cycle of my life for the last 8 years that I've been trying to beat. Because if I have an off season 6-week cycle and an on season, but it's always the clean, and then dirty. And it's why can't you at least start trimming that dirty session, the weekend? Why does it have to be all 3 days of the weekend?
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Of course.
And that's been my biggest battle. But, Coach, you're 150 pounds, so I still love food.
Yeah.
A lot. And, my output really is a counterbalance, but, again, there's a lot of discipline, within all that as well.
100%.
So.
Yeah, no, it's tough, Coach, and I completely get it. I think what we're all trying to achieve is try to be near that 85 or 90% of that at all times, and then to where it's just a little bit of a flux, up or down. But yeah, absolutely. Even during the holidays, I was as good as I could be, except for 1 or 2 meals, and even that felt like it stuck with me way longer. I was like, man, this
every
is...
year too, right?
Yeah,
it stays a little bit longer.
Yeah.
Is there a festival of motorcycles running through this?
I think it's just one ruining our
lives. It's just constantly going back and forth. I don't know if that's being heard, but it's annoying.
Or there's one of our neighbors built himself a go-kart track. And so what we've been hearing at 10:30 at night when we're hanging out in the parking lot before we go home, this dude just
Mario
scratching
Kart
his mane, whatever, just living his childhood dream. Just,
is that what that is? Every day I'm like, who is out here tearing it up?
Throwing red shells at everyone.
I know, on Prim Lane. It's like, come on.
Next question. Why don't I have a TikTok? I don't care. Team Rabadi. Why don't you have a TikTok?
Yeah.
Brandon, our esteemed producer.
I actually have a TikTok.
Oh, do you?
I have the app.
I have the app, and I started it. I'll tell you this: I have no idea how to use it.
I don't either.
And our good friend out there, Gary V, who almost sounds like he's sponsored by it, but I know he's not. He's just just
shouting it out.
Yeah, letting you know that there's a new platform for you to take advantage of.
Yeah.
And I honestly have no idea how it works. I don't know how to follow people.
Yeah.
I don't know how to. Yeah, so I have one, but it's all about the curiosity. And
it's an actual app, not your watch, by the way.
Yeah, I know.
Oh, okay. Wow. Surprised that.
I'm 39 years young. Don't worry about it.
Yeah.
Still get ID'd.
Yeah.
Next question. Will you have new T-shirts and joggers for the spring and summertime, and what colors? No, and hot pink. Go on.
Says the T-shirt and jogger guy. I thought we went through other people, but lo and behold.
He's the guy. The one person not wearing joggers or T-shirt right now. My goodness.
Yeah.
Am I being chastised for being well-dressed and classy and
Pretty
a gentleman?
much. pretty much your class flies in the face of my unclassiness.
Yeah.
I'm still in the ashy
We have
phase.
the Nike owner over here wearing Reeboks.
That's right.
And he's questioning
Wearing
our
those dried out shoes. Lotion those things up. Look how crusty it is.
These are the elephant print Jordan 3s, man.
Nobody's ever heard of that.
One day, we're going to teach you
Is that
something.
Jordan with a G? Anyway, yeah, so how about the sweet gear?
So the obvious answer that we all know is yes and yes. And if
The color is yes, by the way.
Always.
Your coach loves this stuff and enjoys the creative process and loves doing it, and then super warms my heart how much people love it and like it and care for it and love to represent and wear it, and it just means everything that people like it. I was like, man, that's good enough for me.
Yes, sir.
As far as color goes, hot pink would be
Fire.
I'd wear it.
I'd wear it.
Man, I'm wearing cream colored pants right now. I mean, I'm all in.
Everything around me.
White and gold and black and gold have been my go-tos for the last many years. It seems like
Never wear black and gold.
nobody makes black and gold. I'm waiting. I'm holding
Is
off.
that something you haven't thought about?
So the next joggers for sure will be in black.
Okay.
But I'll say what the other color will be, and and then the shirt is there's like 2 or 3 ideas that are
Dun, dun,
coming
dun.
your way.
The
So
answer is
so stay tuned,
anticipation.
folks. Stay
Yeah.
tuned.
We
We got
just
a lot for
started
2020.
We're
Yes.
4 days in, and we're
Yeah.
just
5 days, but no one's
5
counting.
days.
No one's counting. The calendar's counting. It's just Nabil's not counting.
I don't believe in days. YOLO. When was the last time I put on a gi? I don't know, like 2013 or 2014.
It's been a little while,
It's
buddy.
been a little while.
Focused on Muay Thai,
Focused on Muay Thai quite a bit.
but not.
When I move back to Round Rock, I'll do jiu-jitsu. I'll make that promise.
Yes.
And that's
Hold
going
it
to be
till-
not till November though.
No,
So
everybody write it
I'll
down.
be gone to November.
January, February.
Count down. Yeah.
Cool. Thanks for that one, Jeremy. Hey, Robbie. What's your biggest pet peeve at the gym that you've never vocalized or put in writing? Legal writing, by the way. Kevin, answer it. No.
No, I'd love to hear Kevin's too on it, but I'll start since I'm already
Says
stopping.
it's
Yeah.
right to you.
Since my mouth is already moving. So, biggest pet peeve that I haven't vocalized, that is very little. I vocalize it just fine. But really, I think most of the things that people would think are my biggest pet peeves are not. They're almost all understandable. Being late. We're all late. It all happens, especially in something like this. People are trying to balance their life and personal life balance to make it to training and all that. And so I get it. It's no problem. Never got too bent out of shape about that. Talking in class. Sometimes it's not only is it completely excusable, but sometimes you ask for it.
Yeah.
Hey, Professor Kevin, will you help this group over here in the corner? And they're needing that extra help. So obviously they're probably on their own little island talking. And maybe I have the rest of class and kind of silent listening to something. So a lot of the ones that I think people think about are really not it. The things that I would probably most say that I haven't said is that the misconceptions of what we do is probably the bigger thing. The things that they think about us that are not true.
Like
You-
things that they think you're thinking about.
Correct.
They've
Correct.
made up, and then they stand by it. Like
Right.
they're fully convinced
Right.
that.
Like we don't notice that they're not there. That we're
Yeah.
not hurt when you're not there. When we're not, our feelings aren't hurt when you want to just like you're gone for a month and we come back and we have to restart or what have you, or that certain things don't matter to us because look how busy they are. It's a room with 60 students. Why would they even notice or care? And no, we notice, we care. It's all part of it. Those kind of things are more like
like the overlooked
Yes.
ones, right? Yeah, I have nothing to add to that. I couldn't agree more.
Yeah.
Yes,
Yeah.
sir.
Yeah, it's way the smaller things of like people thinking, certain,
So
yeah.
So do you care if I have a Popeyes chicken sandwich?
I do.
If you can survive it, you've earned it.
Yeah. Which
Speaking of, those things are amazing.
you think?
They are
Really
good.
good.
Like,
I've
but don't get me wrong, we're spoiled in Austin, right?
That's right.
So you have your T22s, your Shake Shacks with the spicy, all of that stuff, and you can have the the never-ending battle between a
Right.
Wendy's spicy chicken and a Chick-fil-A, right?
Yeah.
But the Popeyes chicken sandwich is actually
I think
delicious.
you got to preface by saying you have to put it in context of what food groups or what food categories we're comparing this to.
Right.
This is
Yeah.
in comparison to like other fast foods and
Yeah.
Yes.
not True Lux. So.
Yes,
Yeah.
yes. So me and Brandon tried out the Popeyes chicken sandwich.
Where is he today?
I don't know.
All
I
right,
never know where he
I
is.
missed the guy.
And yeah, we got to try it out, and it's good and it's crispy and all this kind of stuff. But for me, overly fried. I prefer like the Chick-fil-A one.
Fair enough.
But really, my favorite is T22 off of Burnett Road.
Gotcha.
Has got got it on lock for me. It's just
Yeah.
It's not the
amazing.
same though.
But the
That's
funny
what I
part is-
just said.
I know it's not the same, but I'm just telling
what
you,
is a
I would
restaurant?
prefer.
Pet peeves to
And
chicken
what is
sandwiches,
Chick-fil-A?
everyone.
A
Pet
fast
peeves to
food
chicken
chain.
sandwiches.
If I eat at a restaurant quickly, isn't that fast food? By some odd definition,
From some kind of perspective.
from some perspective.
But
Thank you.
yeah, so back to pet peeves. And we're not talking about eating with our mouths open. But if you're doing that, stop it. Everyone in the
my
world,
gosh.
stop it.
should
Anyway,
record
Whatever you,
how
yeah.
about that for a pet peeve?
Perfect.
Let's go off the mat pet peeves.
Oh, those are good. Those are
Now,
good.
these are your turning signal.
Okay.
Chewing with your mouth
Yeah,
open.
yeah, yeah.
Getting in
Yeah.
car accidents.
Yeah. Stop looking at your phone when you're driving.
No.
Man, one of my biggest pet peeves in driving is red light. Everyone instantly goes to their phone. Green light is turned. 1,000, 2 1,000, 3 1,000. Hey, everybody! And then the person in the left lane is waiting to see out of their periphery the guy in the right lane move, and the person in the right lane wants to see the person in their periphery in their left
Yeah.
lane.
I like when they get upset at you when you honk
Yeah,
at
yeah.
them. Like it's
It's like almost yellow again. Can
Yeah.
we?
What I've noticed of late, just to carry on that, is that
Yeah.
so that's like 90% of the world nowadays.
yeah.
So my favorite thing is when I'm going straight is watch the turning lane. So I'm very adamant about watching the light. And am I guilty? Of course, I've looked at my phone. But I actually don't do it that much while I'm driving, at all. But I love staring at the turn lane and watching. And what I do is that everyone is aware. So what they do is they look up. And then they look around and see who saw them, and then they take off. Because, dude, especially when there's people in front of them, and like
Oh my
they've been
God.
gone for 10 seconds.
Yes.
And it's the oh crap moment, and then the flooring, like the whole moment.
I
gotta
is
catch up with those 10 seconds.
ridiculous. Yeah,
Yeah,
it's
I can
hilarious.
recapture
What
time.
did you used to add texting and driving to the Fast and the Furious movies?
Oh, you can do that in drift?
Oh, dude, that'd be amazing.
Next level.
Selfie.
Next question. What are good... I think we have asked this one before and answered it, but we'll do it again. What are good offensive techniques for a guy or a girl that are short and stout? And what advice would you give to white belts that are starting out?
So, funny enough, like we had talked about, we actually answered this in our first Ask Coach Anything video. So if you go back and find it, I actually demonstrate the technique with someone smaller and show a good one. But just in brief, to answer is most techniques are actually built for someone a bit smaller to be able to maneuver and shift. The one that we focused on there was the effect of standing up, getting back to your feet as quickly as possible, and realizing how upsetting that is to your opposition, how it's so tough to defend, how hard it is to deal with, and so standing up in that way. Another thing that I'll talk about is creating really powerful angles in your position. So much of it, you can see it in stand-up combat sports real easily. Is the way you stand is the way that you're ready to like receive whatever offense.
Right.
And if you're standing in a way that's kind of closed off towards that, a lot of heavy lifting is done for you. Same thing in your jiu-jitsu. If you can kind of start that kind of stuff, you'll really be able to give yourself a leg up pretty quickly. So in those angled positions, really focus on those. Not to run on for too long, but say you watch a technique, a scissor sweep. Oh, that's really great. It's all about my legs doing this and my arms in this, but in reality, it's all built off of the angled position that you're sitting at, making that happen, creating a downhill effect so that stuff will happen.
Right.
Why don't people just do it square and flat on their back? You know, it's meant to kind of all work in unison and focus on that, and then you watch the technique, then try and see if you can find it somewhere in live competition, and watch how bladed their position is towards it, how heavy they are to it, and there's the key right there.
I would add just a bit more of the whole time he was talking, I was just thinking about it, and it just went poof. But I think it's understanding the advantages that you have. Unfortunately, you walk in, I'm the small guy, and you feel that you have no advantages, which you actually have a lot of advantages, which your coach should let you know pretty immediate. So you don't, if you're the smaller guy, do you match power with power? No, you try to beat power with your speed. So being the mover. And then almost being adamant about sticking to your kind of rules of thumb. Why, unless you're practicing, why would I be the smaller person? Why would I pull guard on Coach Robbie? No, why would I be adamant about not being, pulling, not being on bottom? And then, well, where's my best advantageous position, especially with my size? The back, right? You can't flex your neck and bust out, but you can flex your arm and bust out.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So that might be a little further in, but if you have the right coaches, they're going to be showing you and telling you that the whole, almost every step of the way.
Yeah.
Like, you asked Coach Jessica, what she would ask one of the questions, you know that she has me and Arnold and Coach and all of her coaches like, yeah, no, you got to use your size to your advantage. How do you do that?
Yeah.
Speed. Get to the back, and then angles.
Yeah. The advantage of it, not the disadvantage of it.
Thank you, gentlemen. Next question. What is your daily routine, food, workout, rest schedule?
Coach?
16 hours, Cheetos.
Oh, dude, I could give you my routine. I'm so nuts with that stuff.
Yeah.
I can give you the
That's
routine for the last 24 months of my life.
Let's
almost to a T.
pare that down to maybe 2 days.
Let's go day by day of
So
those 24 months, please.
2017, January 5th, I did no. So yeah, I wake up with and literally with my goals ready to go. If you come to my house, my whole calendar of January is already marked out.
Okay.
Every day. So, and if everything adds onto it, I add it, of course, right? But it's more, I would say, a weekly routine. All right? Monday and Wednesdays, I run. Tuesdays and Thursdays, we drill. Friday, Saturday, and Sunday is kind of whatever I decide, but there's always a workout. Then there's always a break. There's always preparation for the second part of the day. And then you have your second workout, which is usually martial arts related. And that's, I'm telling you, for the last almost 8 years, that has been my routine. And I have refined it to a T to where that is my life. That is who I am.
What are your running workouts like?
Anywhere from 1 to 4 miles and 6 days a week as of recent. Yeah. I've been on a new kick. Talk about inspiration. All comes from Cameron Haynes, right? And it's one of those, if he can do it, I can do it, but on a smaller scale. He was building up to this monster race and running marathons for months at a time, every single day, 26 plus miles, holding down a full-time job, getting his weightlifting in and his reps in. We all know he's a bow hunter and all that, but 26 plus miles a day. And if he can do that for months on end, I can do it anywhere from 4 to 10 days in a row, 1 to 4 miles, just to add. And what that builds personally is a baseline cardio. And I think that's going to be the separating factor, especially the older I get. And I won't be able to move as much. It's going to be my lasting effort, right? My cardio.
Are you a morning workout person or a night workout person?
Both, dude. I am a very high octane person, so I'm a busybody.
I can't function at 6 in the morning and go run. There's like nothing in my system that gets me going.
We just gotta redefine. Yeah, exactly. I was gonna say you just gotta redefine morning. Technically, 11:55 is still the morning.
There you go.
That's a great point, honestly.
One part of that question I'll take, and Coach has an amazing routine, and really one that I envy a ton. But for me, same thing. I try to hold a pretty solid routine. It kind of disciplines me, gets me to get all the stuff that I need to do get done. But I typically will work out in the mornings. Fasted like we talk about. One helpful tip, 30 ounces of water before you drink your coffee. And so the coffee all of a sudden has much more potency.
Right.
Because you're hydrated, right? Coffee dehydrates you and stuff. So
makes you tired.
Yeah, exactly. Me and you actually kind of discovered that was kind of our fatal flaw. So I've really stuck with that. So 30 ounces of water before coffee. It's a bit rough sometimes, but you do room temperature water and you just kind of close your eyes and go at it and all that stuff. And so that and into the coffee, but then workout. But the part that I want to answer is the recovery part. I think that they asked how often or in that same idea, but for me it's like
it should be daily in my opinion.
Daily. Mine is every part of it. So not to speak on our sponsors again, but this is part of that relationship that I'm either doing chiropractic care, cryotherapy for sure, yoga and stretching, and that is 7 days a week. That is all the time, every time. Some are more than one a day. There's even IV therapy, drips and stuff like that, and just the recovery becomes. It feels like more important than the actual workout, and it's what gets you through it, and to be able to stay on the mats and train and teach and all that. So that's
can't be as stubborn the older you get with just not
No.
resting. Like
Right.
It's so like
Right. I used to think resting was I just would lay in bed or
chill. It's not that. It's its own workout.
It's actually one of the worst things.
things.
You can do.
Yeah.
Is to stop
It's
moving.
better. Yeah, it's better to get up and go for a walk, and that's recovering your body as opposed to just literally lounging and.
Yeah.
But
And if
it's a
anyone
learning
really
process.
needs any more details, I'm telling you, I am a
Wealth
stickler
of
for
knowledge.
details. No, I won't say a wealth of knowledge, but I definitely have a lot of practice, and I get much more minute, much into the minutia of things,
There you
into
go.
the details. What vitamins we're talking every single day for the last 13 years, that kind of stuff. So I just didn't want to bore you guys with all of that.
So you've done it a lot.
Huh?
So you
Yes. Well, I think the routine and the discipline behind the routine is one of the most important factors of living a successful lifestyle. To be honest, and a success in your eyes. You
really,
have
I
to.
just stand corrected. Your wealth of knowledge. Take a compliment. We're ending it on that. How do you approach new concepts and techniques in class? I want to do this in a fun way. You answer for Muay Thai. You answer for Jiu-Jitsu.
Okay.
Gotcha. Me personally, I've had a lot of success trying to paint the picture before I start it and give you the hows and the whys and the what not to do's. And I think the more practice that I got, the better I have been becoming at painting that picture. And I can always find that person who's like kind of still questioning, and I'll get to them well, maybe he's not a fight fan.
Sure.
So maybe how do I paint it with something that he can relate to?
In a practical
So there's a lot of law enforcement. So I use a lot of gun analogies, and you're talking to someone who doesn't even own a gun, but I know what it takes, and how to relate it to them. I use a lot of BMX analogies because that's just something I can relate to. I mean, my first love, 15 years. Every year that I was in Texas, before martial arts, I was a BMXer.
Yeah.
I once hit the pro level and all that stuff, but. Crap, where was I going?
How do you approach new techniques?
Oh,
it's
painting the picture and trying to relate through their eyes. Paint the picture through their eyes and what they can relate to is how I approach the new concepts.
Very cool.
Yeah.
I try to make it as complex as possible and throw it over everyone's head to the level that they hate me and wish I would just stop speaking.
I don't know what that's like. I love you, man.
Dang it. One of these days, I'm going to win you over in the wrong way. No, I like exactly like Coach Kevin just said. Same thing. I like to tell sometimes a narrative behind it. Talk about its hows and whys, right? The same idea. The other thing I like to do is give setting up to it as a part of built into it. So maybe there's a unique portion to the movement or a unique concept that really is the beating heart of the technique. This has to be known. So you show that in maybe a different way, a different context, or you strip everything else away and let's just focus on that. Just that, and I promise you it'll make sense by the end of the class, by the end of the week, by the end of the month. This will make sense, but we got to do this so much to where it makes perfect sense, and then later you'll be able to put it together. I'll give you the centerpiece of the puzzle, and they're 3 or 4 of the pieces are stuck together, and then everything else is the borders coming back in, and so you're like, this doesn't quite connect. And I have a lot of students that I'll show a new concept and they'll kind of file it away, and then the second time we do it, or some sort of ancillary connecting technique to it. Oh, I get it. This makes sense, and I can't believe. And man, you've shown this a few times, and why am I only now clicking? It's like, well, you weren't ready for it in that way. Not to be, the mystic man on the mountain kind of thing. You are ready when you are ready kind of thing. But it's
you're
not.
Mr. Miyagi. They're Daniel LaRusso. They're washing that car up, and then they're gonna find out when you attack them what wax on, wax off really means.
That's
man.
what it meant.
Thank you, Coach.
How did that one get skipped in our martial art movie?
Oh my
it
gosh!
Didn't even get thrown out there.
Wow.
One
I
time.
know.
You guys are way older
and
than me.
it's so
and you should be
well
ashamed of
done.
yourselves. Karate Kid Part 3 is the best Karate Kid ever.
I have
I like
no.
the Karate Kid where they don't do karate at all with Jackie Chan.
I know.
Great movie.
Oh
but
my
we call it
gosh!
Karate
I
Kid.
know. The first one is so well done. Golly, the narrative is just. It's become the paradigm. Like every other movie, like in the training development sense, is
I don't know why.
kind of it.
I'm so surprised that you never answered Never Back Down, by the way.
I said it
best-
at the beginning.
Did you?
I did.
Yeah, you said
I
Never Back
said
Down?
1 and 2. Yeah.
Oh wow!
Yeah.
Yeah.
There's a 2?
Yeah.
I think it's like 3 or 4.
Yeah. Oh, dude, it's
that
like
one.
them and the cheerleading version of it, the Step It Up.
Yeah.
They went
They
like
just
back
Step It Up
and
over.
forth, dude. Yeah.
Oh yeah, hold my drink. You know,
Sorry, go on.
nothing. I think one of them has Eddie Bravo as a DJ in it.
Really?
I'm not kidding. Yes.
Wow. Eddie,
Yes.
Is that true? Holler back.
How about
Best jiu-jitsu move of all time. It has to be iconic. Clearly, the octopus choke from the front.
Yeah, I mean,
Just making
it's
that up.
it sounds made up.
go for it, Coach.
It's a
I
15th
mean-
planet
Oh,
move. 5
I
planets
mean-
better.
I mean, I think,
I think-
all the staples are there. But let's be honest, and this will going back to Eddie Bravo, and this one has to go through as like pulled off in lifetime, going all the way back to Nick Diaz and Takanori Gomi when he pulled off the Gogo Plata. And it's not him really pulling it off. It's the fact that he got his butt whooped. Did it happen in the first round, the 10-minute round?
10-minute first,
10-minute
yeah.
first round,
That was
yeah,
Pride
so,
America.
yeah, I
Twice.
mean, his face was a disaster, guys. That's when Gomi was that kind of still on his way out, but he was boxing his face to pieces.
Yep.
And then somehow pulled the Gogo Plata, and you can look that up. It's the choke with his leg in front of his neck, which is crazy. Just in my like that right there, especially when I watched it and I was still brand new in my jiu-jitsu journey, and I was like,
That was insane.
I thought that was very impressive.
Yeah, and for people who don't know what a go-go plata is think of an omoplata, and then you then pull your shin bone from behind their shoulder to across the front of their face to under their throat.
Yes.
And you hug the back of their head and pull it down and leverage bridging into it to choke them with your shin bone.
I'm just curious as to how, like, the first guy to do that, like, how did they figure that one out?
Easy.
Oh, yeah? Okay, cool.
Yeah. Well, like
No,
that,
and I only say
Super basic
Yeah,
stuff.
exactly. Yeah. Who didn't invent 700 or 800 moves? No. You got to think about jiu-jitsu that it feels like you invent something almost every time you have the end of a training day. You're like, I think I just came up with a more efficient way, at least for me, to do this. I wonder if I've stumbled onto a hack. And so
Sure.
it's kind of the way of jiu-jitsu. So, like, I don't mean easy that it was an easy make. I don't mean that. That kind of blurted out.
Kind of a dumb question was
I think
that.
I think any
But I just
submission
mean-
that happens like so smoothly in a place when most people thought it wouldn't work. Gilbert Burns has a couple amazing arm bars coming. He pulls out his wazoo at the end of the fights.
Yeah.
Here's a throwback of Marcus Brimage and Dennis Bermudez with where he rolled underneath him and got the arm bar, and it was another getting his butt whooped
Yeah.
moment. Yeah, it was impressive. I think that was like a tough finale.
Yeah, wow.
But-
There's that really great one from, I can't remember what the guy's name, tall, skinny guy who did the wizard to the armbar from standing and modified it.
Yeah.
I'm trying.
Just like the twisters and all that stuff happening in MMA, like the reason why it's a big deal is like you didn't expect it to work.
No.
But if you ask Roger Gracie, it's going to be the mounted cross choke, and how can you question him?
We're
How
talking
can
about
you
like
argue that?
kind of most like iconic moments of submissions. It's tied in my head. One is both Nogueira, and it's both him getting the heck beat out of him. One was against Crow Cop with the armbar, and the other one was against Tim Sylvia, where he has him mounted and then just switches over to a guillotine from the guard, and that was incredible.
And set up from a dynamite half guard sweep that he timed so perfect. He fell into the trap.
It was the same thing he did to the who's the
Bob Sapp?
Is it Heath Herring?
Heath Herring.
Yeah, then he was getting his butt whooped, and it did the same kind of thing.
No, it was a back and forth affair.
Yeah.
I remember it being, the first one was. The second one was pretty.
No, didn't he meet him in the UFC?
Did he meet Heath? Oh yes, he got dropped by him.
Yeah,
with
and
this crazy head kick, and
Yeah.
then it was just like him kind of swimming back into. I don't remember how it finished though.
Yeah. Nogueira, like you said.
Oh, dude, his whole career is...
Vinny, right? Vinny
Don't-
Magalhaes. Like, there's so many guys, I would say, like, it's the move that works when it almost shouldn't.
Exactly.
That's like the beauty of jiu-jitsu, right?
Yeah, yeah.
Like, those are the ones. So it's almost like iconic movements.
Somehow Verdum
Or
put
moves, rather.
Fedor
sorry.
in a triangle.
Oh, dude, that one's crazy. That one was like... Oh man, like you felt like it couldn't happen, but you watched it, and you saw, like, if you look at one of the details of Verdum, knowing he had it, he does this thing where he has the triangle kind of mostly open. If you go back and watch it, he like basically pumps his leg once and twice, and basically ratchets his own leg right into position.
Yeah. And Fedor definitely gave him a second
And
chance.
Fedor hung
He
in
literally
way
jumped
too
right
long.
back in there because he thought he could get out of every triangle.
That's right.
I just
He
didn't-
has to date.
To date, because he survived Nogueira's, and everyone was like, "Oh well,
Right.
he got that." It's like people don't forget that Verdum is gigantic.
Yep.
He is the one person I've met in real life that is bigger than me, and I was like, "Oh wow, that's not what I expected." And you're like, "Oh man, you are a refrigerator with really long legs." It's like you're huge.
Yes, sir.
This might be a hair redundant favorite movie
Ever?
ever. Listen, it's
you
gonna
gotta
be
stick to it though. Just do it.
Never-
Yeah.
Never back down.
The first Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, 1990. Done.
Boom.
Go.
Boom.
And Kevin, you go.
What was
Old
that?
school. Old school, I almost know it verbatim. And that's before all your favorite comedian actors got blown up and pigeonholed into, what's the word, typecasted.
Typecast.
Right?
And they're all like
The
bloated.
Vince Vaughns of the world and, obviously Will Ferrell. All those guys. Go back and watch that movie. Is it Luke Wilson? Oh, my
Such a good
goodness.
movie.
You're my boy, Blue. All of that stuff. It is pure gold. And I think it's very well written as far as that.
Yeah.
Now, with the PC side of things, you're going to run into, they could say that then.
Yeah,
And all
that's
that.
always the
You're
shocking.
going to always kind of almost feel awkward at laughing at it, and then you got to shake your head and say, no, this is absolutely hilarious, and know that it was written in 2010. And that's that.
That was in 2010. It was like 2001.
Well, that's what I meant. Sorry,
Oh, yeah.
It was mid 2000s, right?
I feel
No, it was like 2002.
Really?
Yeah, it was.
Wow,
it was
we have to
early
look it up.
2000s.
it's 2007
Young Jamie?
now.
No. Anyway, that's me.
That movie with Julia Roberts where they're like, open your eyes, Shelby. Open your eyes.
Steel Magnolias.
Yes.
I'm shocked that I know it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. There's like so many. I love movies. Man, there's too many.
I'm going to guess. Avengers.
Avengers like best comic book movie,
Wow, that's
right? I
interesting.
mean, it's I think.
Say Dark Knight.
Yeah, I don't know.
You got to choose one.
Ooh,
We're not
good
moving on
guess.
to the next question until you say a movie.
All right, settle in, fam.
Commit to it.
No, let's see.
Dirty Dancing.
Maybe like a Goodfellas or a Casino. Those are like I find myself rewatching them every time that there's an opportunity.
Should have done the top 5 or something.
Yeah,
Top 10.
yeah.
He still wouldn't figure it out. Bert
There's
or Ernie in a fight? Next question.
There's so many good movies.
Well, so many good fights between Bert and Ernie, but you're not giving the answer.
Definitely Bert. He's got that anger.
Okay. Yeah.
You don't get born in that.
Does he have the conditioning though?
Definitely that banana head. He definitely does.
I say Sesame Street keeps them in line. They don't fight. They're both. They're gonna walk away.
Hulk Hogan or the Ultimate Warrior?
Question.
Yes.
Which Ultimate Warrior?
There's only been one Ultimate Warrior.
No.
Yes, that's true.
Really?
Yeah. That same motorcycle's still going off.
Are you sure there's only been one?
Only
I would
one,
almost
yeah.
want to debate
That's actually
that.
a myth. But he just
okay.
he just used less steroids in the time that he was away.
Yeah.
All right. Coach, you got a dog in the fight?
So let me preface all this by saying I do not condone these people outside of the cage, the ring, like or the cage either, right? That's applicable. They find cages. Yeah, so we're not talking about them as human beings.
No.
Both have checkered outside the ring.
Inside the ring, they're heroes.
They're heroes.
American icons.
But I'm gonna go Ultimate Warrior. I used to just mark out so much to that guy.
Yeah.
He was definitely did not have was
he
not
was
a
hype
good.
incarnate.
Yes, he was all hype, and as a 7-year-old, 8-year-old, you're like, yes, it's so cool.
Paint my face with
Yeah.
your makeup.
Surprised Coach didn't have the big picture mentality at 7.
Yeah.
Because I gotta go with tried and true, living in America.
That's not the
It's
song.
not even the theme.
Is it not?
No.
The regular Hulk Hogan.
That's James Brown. Yeah.
He
It's-
comes out to that song.
no, he does not.
Are you serious?
Yeah, his song goes, I am a real American.
Oh, okay. Wow. Same. Wow.
That's
like
not-
the-
don't- I
that's
don't
like
say
one
same.
of those cadence songs.
Dude,
you just put-
the first
You
one
know,
you sang was
everyone-
James Brown.
It's
Sorry.
unmistakable.
All
Oh,
right.
no, it's the James Brown.
Hey, it sounds the same.
Listen, I mean,
That's fair,
How about
actually.
this?
But
But how about this? It goes back to a nostalgic feel. He was the first. He was the reason. The reason behind of me the first time staying up overnight.
Okay.
Yeah, and I remember it because I was in Texas the first time I lived in Plano, Texas. I stayed up overnight, and then I started memorizing the WrestleManias.
Yeah.
WrestleMania 3 is when he body slammed Andre the Giant. WrestleMania 6, I think, is when he actually got beat by the Ultimate
Yeah.
Warrior, but then
Yeah.
they go back, and then he gets it back, doesn't he?
Yeah, like years later.
Yeah, but it's
all
like
the
tried and
next-
true and longevity because Ultimate Warrior, if he stayed true to the game, his heart would explode 10 times
Oh,
over.
yeah.
And
Oh,
it's not
yeah.
just the steroids, the extra. It's the extra.
oh
You
yeah,
gotta
On
kick in
20
those ropes.
yeah, yeah. I think
Yeah,
it's beyond
like this,
steroids.
The finger wag's way less demanding
Yeah.
than the shaking of the
Yeah,
rope.
I feel like he wasn't just taking bumps in the ring.
Yeah.
He was taking bumps before getting in the ring. If you know what I'm saying.
Going
Free
full on
bump
60 in the car.
Free bumps.
Yeah, exactly.
damn.
I would say when I was a kid, man, Ultimate Warrior, but in hindsight, Hogan was like
Hulk
way
Hogan
more
Of course.
all
like a
day,
way
man.
better.
Of course.
Like longevity.
Of
all that stuff.
course.
Okay.
Yeah, ready
I'm
to go, ready to
I'm
go.
not. I'm not arguing any of that. That stuff is
Yeah.
both answers
I
are
still-
What
correct.
about when he turned heel? NWO.
Oh.
Well, I
Black
read himself
beard.
so many times.
Yeah, yeah.
When I go to work, I paint my face like Ultimate Warrior just to get myself hyped up.
I need proof.
You.
Selfie tonight. This is just for sleep. I get hype. What is your what is your favorite non Muay Thai or boxing stand up technique?
Is this
I got one.
Go for it.
Judo chop.
That's again in the movie one. No, I think the spinning back kick to the body, to the liver is that was pretty awesome too, right? That's a really really great technique, and yeah, when it's done smartly and well, man, you can use it in almost every fight. There's several situations in there. That's a pretty good one.
Lead left hook to the inner thigh. Coach Kevin special. Done
so
pulled on
much.
everybody because it works. It works. Students, tell them. Coach Brandon, it works.
Shaking
Yeah.
his head right now.
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah, because he's used it, and it's been used on him.
I'm just gonna say,
First of all, you stole it from Benson Henderson.
yeah.
He
Who-
jabbed the thighs, I think.
See, hey.
Who is a real stand-up specialist? I'm gonna say the question mark kick, obviously.
Question
What
mark
about
kicks
the
you.
exclamation mark kick?
You mean the axe kick? You didn't think I knew that, did you? You're gonna have a grammatical pun for every one of my moves?
Yes.
Semicolon kick. Which one would that be?
You go up, you pause, and then you didn't think I had an answer. I got the answer.
Comma kick? A leg kick to the ankle. That's a small little.
It's all fun.
It's like an old man kick. All right.
Oh, wow.
How as a business owner do you stay inspired? And then we got one more after that.
So same thing, discipline and all that kind of stuff. I think as a business owner, you are constantly looking to grow um, uh, internally as a person, as a human being, that you then later turn that into something that can be part of the business. And the thing that I'll add to it is not everything is about more, making more money, having more students, all this kind of stuff. It's actually very little of it is that there's a growth within it to keep both yourself and your members, clients, anything whatever the business is, engaged and still enjoying it and being a part of it and all that good stuff. So that's like, the big give back. And then the other part of it is the great bonus for me is the people, right? It's just like I'm in love with the people that I get to be around all the time, and I'm fortunate in that way that tribe continues to keep growing of really good and positive people. And me and Kevin talk about all the time. It's just like the wealth that we have is a reflection of the wealth of great people that we're associated with all the time. It's unreal, and it just seems to attract more and grow in that way. Yeah. So I would say that there's the growth thing, and then enjoying who you work with, and here's a little bit of Business Insider, and I've said this to several people before, that when people say that you're an entrepreneur, you're your own boss, you're gonna call the shots and tell everyone what to do and all this stuff, and there couldn't be anything further from the truth. Everyone gets to tell you what to do. That's what it's like. So get ready for that, and people are going to tell you to your face, and people are going to tell it to you behind your back, and people are going to tell it to you with their money. And so it's just like, well, and so you have to be receptive to all of it. And one of the few things you actually do get to choose is who you get to work with, and who you get to, how to invest your time and how to choose your time. And that's stuff I've been really lucky about, just having amazing people around me all the time. And that's my reward, just to never have that feeling in my gut like, oh geez, here goes Janet again, the lady that's the Janet that is just sucks all the energy out of everyone and everything in the work environment, and there's none of that. I never have that feeling. I feel actually the opposite, and excited to hear about what everyone has going on in their life, not just on the mats but off the mats as well. So
last question kind of goes to what we were just talking about. You laughing?
No, it's like Kevin to
That's
get
all
a
right.
chance.
I can't wait to be certified to answer that question.
Yeah.
Plain and simple.
Yeah.
I'm just sit back and.
Yeah.
I didn't mean it disrespectfully. I apologize, Kevin.
That's all right.
The disrespect.
Disrespect.
That's what hurts the most.
You have to be respectable to even be certified to disrespect.
Can you see what I'm wearing right now?
Unfortunately, I have.
Respectability.
I cannot see it.
This is advice right here.
The best advice I can give you.
What advice could you give to Kevin on how to... No. What advice could you give to a new entrepreneur, golden rule?
Man. Kevin, do you want to have a shot at this one?
Give the advice I would give myself.
Yeah.
I would be. I think I'm certified to answer that because I know what it's going to take. It's going to
Definitely
take
certified.
commitment and patience. Commitment and patience.
Yeah.
Yeah.
If I would say what I'd say to everyone I've ever hired, and has been like, kind of at the core of all of it, is that just really you need one thing, and everything else you can derive the energy from. Mm-hmm. And that's you have to care. And if you don't care, and if you're thinking about the end game, as I need this or I want financially that, being an entrepreneur is not for you. Plain and simple. Let me give you the best advice you'll ever get. Don't waste your time. It's okay. It's not meant for everyone, but you have to care about what you're doing and who you are doing it for. It cannot be like, I need to throw this out to the masses, and those idiots can enjoy it and spend their money on me, and because I have the coolest new whatever product. It's like, no, you have to care about them like an extension of your family, or it never works. It really doesn't, or it comes through and you get a feel of that person is just not there for anyone but themselves. They're doing it. They're trying to fake it and doing a real bad job of it.
Yeah.
And the ones that do care, not only is it effortless, it is in their very DNA. They wouldn't even know that they're doing it without someone saying, "Well, oh yeah, I guess if you want to label whatever it is I'm doing." And that's that'll be the big difference in seeing what that level is. And it's just always interesting, especially when time gets tough. What do people do with that? Do you have everyone's best interest in mind, or do you have your best interest in mind, or do you have that one person's interest in mind because there's a relationship there? Whatever. But it's caring ultimately, and it has to be true. It can't be, well, I care to keep you as a client, and so that needs to be. No, it has to be actual true caring.
Genuine.
Or
Yeah.
yeah.
And that's something that will be pretty obvious. I think you'll get to know that feel within your first attempt of trying out that gym. Like, I think that will be directly related to the environment that we touched on over the coach's corner.
You literally stole my thoughts. I was thinking just about our last podcast talking about environment and how much we felt like we weren't cared about at all.
Yeah.
Frankly, it's not to, make it sound so cold, but it felt like ultimately when you boiled it down and peeled all the layers, we weren't cared about.
Yeah.
We were cared about what we could do for the better what
they wanted as opposed to the other way around.
Correct. Yeah. So
awesome. Well,
it's a good way to end it.
Wow. On a phone drop.
Yeah.
These jeans are too
They have microphones on their phones.
Ladies and gentlemen, that is our show today. It's been a really fun one, gentlemen. Thank you.
Thank you.
Coaches.
Awesome.
Thank you.
Appreciate all your answers.
More
Judging
fun
by
each time.
Brandon's red face right now and how freaked out he is.
When did Brandon get here?
He's been here for a while. In spirit. Guys, thank you.
I need to stop bumping like the Ultimate Warrior.
He didn't. He was terrible at that.
That's what they call a fall in wrestling, taking a bump.
You'll get it one day.
Double entendres, baby.
Thank you guys for your questions. I hope you guys enjoyed our answers. Stay tuned for the next episode. Be sure to check out our Instagram and Facebook for details of the next episode. Like, share, subscribe. Appreciate you guys being here. Have a great day, night, year. Us.
I haven't stopped recording.
Let me say one more thing. Let me say.